Ahoy, mateys! I'm Vin with CFG Games, and we're reviewing X Nordics. The East series has provided action RPG thrills since the late 80s. It chronicles the adventures of Adol Christian. X harkens back to an earlier time in Adol's life after he leaves the land of East. He's sailing towards Celsita when he encounters some complications that leave him stranded. So he teams up with the warrior Karja, and they recruit a seafaring crew in order to defeat the threat of the otherworldly Grieger. Let's sail into the Abelia Gulf and check out how X plays. You control just Adol and Karja, which is a departure from recent games' 3-member parties. But X really pushes duo mechanics in compelling ways. There's a real engrossing rhythm to the combat as you alternate between controlling one character and duo mode as the situation demands. It feels natural, snappy, and seamless, and most of all, the combat is readable and makes sense. Each and every skill is a visual delight, and you unlock skills at a steady enough pace so that you have plenty of variety at your disposal. And whether you're using solo or duo skills, the combat always feels brisk and empowering, and the movement feels so quick too. Speaking of movement, the field exploration is captivating. You can really traverse environments quickly, and the interactable objects are always positioned in an organic way. Some dungeons include minor puzzles that make intuitive sense as you study the environments. There is always a clearly designated destination, but I particularly enjoyed venturing off the beaten path to find treasure. This loot is quite frequently well worth your time, it's substantial and it leads to meaningful boosts. The way X handles role-playing mechanics is also quite exciting. The game provides plenty of ways to boost Adol and Karja's capabilities. I initially fumbled around the mana line system where you slot in mana seeds in order to activate stat boosts and skills, but once I grew accustomed to synthesizing and selecting mana seeds, I felt the system was simultaneously freeform and exciting. I often looked forward to unlocking more sections of the grid so that I could try to unlock and stack more buffs. In some RPGs, accessories can feel a bit ancillary, but X accessories notably turn tides in your favor, whether it's simply stat boosting or regenerating your skill meter more quickly. So as a result, they feel quite powerful, and unlocking more accessory slots always feels like a considerable boost. Of course, another notable aspect of the game is its seafaring. You have to sail from island to island, and at first I thought this was rather slow and unwieldy, and I wanted to return to the brisk land-based action. But as I recruited more and more ship members, I really appreciated the ship's growth, and I actually ended up thoroughly enjoying being at sea. I often discovered islands unrelated to the main objective, and these unlocked tangible benefits that truly feel wonderful. There are both mandatory and optional naval encounters, and provided that you keep upgrading the ship, you can really feel like a wrecking ball of sorts. And provided you keep upgrading, the seafaring combat can be just as visually striking as the game's land-based fights. But insofar as visuals go, the presentation is mixed. The characters are all quite vibrantly stylized, but aside from Adol and Karja, their animations don't have too much variety. The field areas are full of grass and vegetation, and select areas such as the ship also feel lived in. However, the dungeon's architecture and the sea environments are far too sparse. Another issue is that these locations largely share thematic motifs, so areas of a given type feel similar, whether it's islands, caves, towns, fortresses, and so on. This is certainly a case of function over form. The environments frame events rather than being unique, memorable backdrops. The audio, however, is a consistent delight. Falcom once again delivers plenty of fantastic tunes. I loved each high-octane boss battle song, and the field tracks really accentuated the character's rapid movement. I played with the English dub, and I was impressed by the sheer amount of voice dialogue from all the supporting NPCs. I loved Adol's upbeat go-getter quotes, alongside Karja's slight sass and stern line delivery. And as a bit of a side note, I appreciated whenever the playable characters gave audio hints on the field so as to not interrupt the flow of the game. I also appreciated the entire crew's context-sensitive quips whenever you're at sea. I also thoroughly enjoyed the characterization. The crew members are from all walks of life, and what really stood out to me is that everyone's problems are quite relatable and grounded. Some are trying to escape their parents' shadow, others have disagreements with their folks, and some characters even discuss their kids growing up, which really brings a lot of humanity to the game. Ys 10 also seamlessly weaves inspiration from Norse mythology into the dialogue, which adds flavor to everyone's expressions. The plot is interestingly executed. It provides plenty of intrigue early on. However, the pacing can feel a bit haphazard, especially in the first half of the game, and it takes a while to build momentum. A few cutscenes are packed too closely together, and the flow is occasionally jumpy. The game shifts gears during tense sequences, which can initially feel a bit bizarre. But even if it's straightforward and not particularly shocking, the plot is well worth experiencing all the way through. It's a heartwarming tale of camaraderie and companionship, and there are fun references to other Ys games, but you don't need to have prior Ys experience to enjoy this fully. However, a handful of quirks do drag down the experience. Early on, the game piles on a bunch of tutorials and mechanics in a somewhat disruptive manner, but thankfully, each tutorial screen is short, and while I ended up enjoying the ship controls, I would have appreciated slightly more precise weapon handling, as the auto-aim can be a bit finicky. And once again, the game absolutely encourages seafaring. Neglecting resource collecting and upgrading will make some mandatory encounters feel quite prolonged and tedious, but some toggles can make the ship sections easier if necessary. So despite the game's relatively slow start, I thoroughly enjoyed Ys 10 Nordics. It's so full of quests, encounters, and things to do that a playthrough can easily take 30 hours or more. This is truly a game that lives up to Ys's legacy, and even though it certainly isn't perfect, it's so full of stylish action and fun characters that it's quite endearing nonetheless. If you're in the mood for a rewarding action RPG, you should absolutely give Ys 10 Nordics a shot. This has been Vin with CFG Games. Thanks for watching this review. If you like this review, please subscribe for more reviews and other amazing gaming content, and we'll see you on the next one.